Hi, I'm Bryn Gribben. Welcome to my reading today here in Seattle, Washington. Thank you to Big Mouth and to the beloved and talented Rebecca Aronson for asking me. I'm going to read to you several poems from a couple of chapbook projects I have going and conclude with an excerpt from a larger book project I have that is creative nonfiction about music and intimacy. I'm going to start with a poem called Dahlia. This is one word game experiments. I love sound. I'm really interested in the sonic texture right now. When you live in your own home and you don't go anywhere else, sound starts to resonate differently. So this first poem is called Dahlia, and it's a villanelle. Dahlia. The last summer flower to bloom is the dahlia, sassy as a French mob cap, insistent as a harvest moon. Dahlia of the botanist, doll, to wit, like lentils dished as soups, although in Sanskrit, dal means to split, then pulses counted out into pairs, then poured into portions, feeding our heartbeats, food as prayers. A Swede naming the native flower of Mexico. How strange! What gave him the right to claim its petaled heft? There, it's Dahlia without the H, and that, in Lithuania, means destiny or fate after the goddess who distributes the dalis, the proper share for everyone who waits. But Dahlia doesn't decide. Dievis serves our shares at birth, and she just backs him up, doling out that which we deserve. Woman, lamb, dog, swan, or duck, the schemer gives us fodder for our lives, varied as dahlia varieties. Fancy pants, Trooper Dan, bride-to-be, 4-day dreamer. We each then are given a life, rallying to live until the end with elegance and dignity, commitment. The dahlia represents them all. No dallying, then, rain-wrecked but sturdy, this dinner plate-sized white one, wondrous head nodding outside my window, the last to go. It's living its portion out with vigor until it's really, truly done. My poetry group recently did a prompt on the poet James Dickey, and we'd read his beautiful poem, The Sheep Child. So the prompt was to find a bit of lore, a rumor or a lore, and then speak from the position of that subject of the lore. This is Song of the Murder Hornet. Once the world was in darkness and online. Only the glow of a screen filled with 17 faces, then 10, then 2, were in view as absence became presence and faces became names. Then came the knees on necks and marchers wearing masks. It wasn't that before we hadn't noticed. Rather, now it's the only thing we see. The darkness became blackness so that it could matter. That's when the murder hornets came. A wasp so big it could only come from Asia. No, so big Texans always see them. So big we hoped a new fear might deliver us from living, from waiting to die for lack of breath. I saw one pinned to cardboard, looking like a rocking horse, a carousel animal bobbing on its pole for 50 cents a ride, but then again, I saw it on a screen, filling it like water from a dam, like a virus churning dusk to foam. From its place on the pin, the murder hornet seemed to hum. I flew, no different from another hornet, the paper wasp, my cousin. I hated the yellow jacket too, like you, and take their heads inside my jaws, to my waiting young. But I also will kill the honeybee, which seems to be the thing that bothers most, what with the love of sweetness and of light. But I didn't fly here alone. They say I came as airmail, a gift to an arthritic man. They soak my children and my fellows in liquor, drink us like a tonic. Does it surprise you that I'm called the killer? Like all things, I do what I need to do, and what I do is not always what I want. But when opportunity and need appear, as if a magic trick one didn't need to learn but leaned into, able instantly to do it, I did it. Stung the wrong thing, wrong time. I was seen, I was captured. Now you see me here. So many do this site has views, like vacation postcards, execution in town squares. Those faces zooming in to memorize my thorax size, hoping to hold off heaps of headless honeybees, or maybe wishing that knowing and naming will remove terror like a mask, a fist from a back, the knee from the neck, signature from face, sting from death. If they just knew where the stinger is, on a map, in a march, floating through the air. We're letting the cats out. The next two poems are from a chapbook project I have of persona poems. It's called What They Said Inside, Hidden Histories. And each poem takes a different persona. This is The Train Conductor Falls in Love. And it has an epigraph from Leadbelly, and there's some singing, so be forewarned. The Train Conductor Falls in Love. Bring me a little water, Sylvie. Bring me a little water now. Bring me a little water, Sylvie. Every little once in a while. I would call her from my car on breaks, answer in short phrases, write her in even shorter takes. Daytime, I'd send her pictures with no messages at all. Foxes, a woman's body covered in letters, a waterfall. I'm better at showing and not telling what I feel. With a box strapped to my chest, all signals and remote switches, it wasn't the best time for her soft head to rest on it, her warm eyes, red hair. I'd had to turn my head away when finally we met there at the Italian restaurant. So beautiful. We'd met online while I was running trains between her city and mine. I kind of loved the hours passed in hotel rooms, riding her instead of resting up, consumed by all the joy of this new life, new state, new job, new woman, my clean slate. But all the songs are true. We really do work on the railroad all the livelong day. The perk of early retirement comes after giving all your life and time to this great beast. At night, I think of my ex-wife, how she wanted me home more, hating how every lever switched, the cycle breaking, took me further away from her. My pretty new girl, too, gave up on me. Why settle for these midnight messages from a rough man, mustachioed like old Mark Twain, when she can share the view, not just receive pictures of it? The last song I sent her was Night is My Friend, a hit back from the days when men would work. For when the busy day goes by, a sad and lonely heart have I, sings Molly Drake, who gets it. Night is my friend. My darling, listen. This is all that I can tell you. Long days I spend, And though I go from place to place, I seek and never find your face. I love my job, but sometimes still in the train yard in Harbor Island at 2 a.m. I look hard across your city's sparkling sound, feel further for your heart, wish you'd bring me a little water. Part of what I love about writing persona poems is researching the people. And this next poem is based on an entire family. The Davies brothers were the little boys that James Barrie, who wrote Peter Pan, was friends with. And they were motherless, and so Barrie kind of became this adopted uncle for them. They all, unfortunately, led very tragic lives and died horrible, horrible deaths. There was one little boy named Peter in the family, but he was not who the character of Peter Pan was based off of. The brothers all agreed that it was Michael, who was found drowned, holding hands with another man when he was a college boy. So this poem is called Lost Boy Found Drowned. It's a hustle, and it's coming out soon in the A Familiar Journal. Lost Boy Found Drowned. Peter said it was Michael who was Pan in his heart. The standing statue's model, Barry's plan in his heart. In Kensington Gardens, each Davies boy roamed its paths. No mothers, no women. Pirate blood ran in his heart. Nico, the youngest, did grow up. Peter flew to death by rail. George hooked by bullet, blood thick as sand in his heart. Michael, darling Michael, was the poet, beloved by Oxford and loved another man in his heart. First left-hand star, then morning, found them drowned in the deep. Hands held them together, never land in his heart. This is my last persona poem. This is from a new project I have started about the gay Jewish aesthete painter Simeon Solomon. He was a contemporary of Edward Burne-Jones. He ran with Rossetti and all of the pre-Raphaelite painters. And he also, unfortunately, has a very tragic story. But he's kind of coming back into research favor, which I think is really interesting. And it provides me the chance to read letters of his, which are beautiful. This is based on a portrait that another photographer did of him, and he's wearing this turban, and he's very orientalized. He's really hot, of course. And in all of his portraits of himself, he's looking straight on at the camera, and in this one, he's looking to the side. So this is called Photographic Portrait of Simeon Solomon. Look left. The sideways gaze, your always silent God. The women manly, men as spirit muse. We see you here, a turbaned sultan with a secret, untold. Orientalized master, all brocade and languor, we laud your once and might have been the ruse. A Libra loves his costume. Beauty, the always silent God. A pasha of avoidance, you make of yourself your mold, unlike your self-portraits where you refuse to look away. Here you are a sultan with a secret yet untold. What do photographers know of men unshod by poverty, of men whose loves have nothing left to lose? A Jew knows the sideways gaze of an always silent God. Your face under your hand, the graphite's gray turns gold. In one, your eyes are music. In another, choose a downward shame. No sultan in a turban, fate untold. Saw Simeon Solomon without shoes today. How odd, Rossetti wrote. Or did he say how sad? The camera is a bruise. The sideways gaze can't meet the always silent God. The sultan in a turban looks away. Too much is told. I want to end with just a very short nonfiction reflection on love and music as part of, again, this larger project I have about music and intimacy, where each essay is about one person and one song. The bigger project is called Amplified Heart. If you want to help me get that published, I welcome that. And this is called You Remind Me of the Babe, Postcard from the Labyrinth. That is what I hate about American Buddhism, my friend Sonora says. Everyone thinks they're detaching to get something instead of just being. It's true. We need to make even not getting and not going a kind of getting and going. It's growth, it's movement towards enlightenment. My favorite Buddhist saying reflects the futility of trying to make meaning of one's own growth in the moment of its happening. Oh, my friend, going in circles. You may enjoy going, but not in circles. So the saying goes. As much as I hate the name Tegan, there is one Tegan and Sarah song of which I think with terrible regularity. Where does the good go? Its chorus refuses Buddhist attachment and demands an account of feelings, remaindered like unpopular books. Where does the good go? While other clever lines clarify the singer's losses, it's the refrain's repetition that gets me, always calmly, as if it were not a desperate statement. I often pass a church with a bulletin board inviting you to walk its labyrinth, to meditate while walking, to meet the obstacles as they come. Is that labyrinth, too, supposed to go somewhere? Or are you just supposed to know with each false turn that God is waiting in the center? Or is he walking with you, footprint style? I don't mean it as a theological statement when I say I'm coming to think of love as a labyrinth, with neither minotaur nor goblet of fire in the middle. If you'll recall, the goblet of fire itself was actually no prize, but a trick, a monstrous, deadly trick. When the obstacles aren't glaringly obvious, red flags of ivy and of thorn, they seem to grow up in front of you, almost of their own accord, Harry Potter style, with no purpose but to block your way. Try again, your friends say, and so you turn around, try to remember which routes you've tried and which you still have left. Is this growth? This retreading of old ground? Is my writing, with its obsessive reconfigurations of the past, the storyboarding of my life with an ever longer soundtrack, a discography of singular moments of intimacy and B-sides of my heartbreaks? Is that growth? Or are these several loving walks down memory lane, ending again and again, with the same sign at the end? Trail ends here. Turn around. Where does the good go? I want to feebly make a case for Rothke's claim. We learn by going, by where we have to go. But that too turns all desire, deep pleasure in a formerly loved one's face, the feeling of their hands in the dark, into a roadmap going somewhere, turns all that glorious love into just accumulation, the shadow of some greater there. In a movie from my childhood, Labyrinth, David Bowie plays the Goblin King and sings a little ditty with some small creature. You remind me of the babe. What babe? Babe with the power. What power? In that labyrinth, the search is for the thing you think you didn't love until it was taken away from you. In the writing of my own emotional mazes, its hedges taller every turn, I sometimes wonder if that's what I'm searching for too. As if somehow, by revisiting myself as the babe with or without power, I can find out where the good goes. Thank you for coming. Hope to see you in the real world.